Good morning, a good Erev Shabbos. Today we are learning the third Perek of Shekalim, and we'll take us through most of the next week. And after Shekalim, we're gonna start. What's next? Yuma. Hopefully by Friday we'll start Yuma. Moving along. Today's share is the Ilay Nishmas Our Nachum and Simcha Kohen Yeshua Borchem and Shef Sabracha Shlar B'Shmuel Leib and V'Yam Moshe Ben Yosef made in Hashavos Avon Aliyah and before Shtem of Adas Bas Leah Chana Pesel Bas Yenta Yisrael Ben Rachel Rachel Bas Pesel Zelda Aaron Yitzchak Ben Risha and Chaya Bas Dova Bela before Shtem of Soshar Chal Yisrael. Okay, here we go. Perek Gimel Mishnah Aleph. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how the shekalim were collected from all parts of the Jewish world and brought to the Mizbeach, and what they do with the shekalim once they were collected. So 3 times a year, a chunk of that money was withdrawn from the lishka in the Beis Hamikdash to buy more karbanos for the karbanet tzibur. The Mishnah starts off, B'shlosh prakin b'shana torment as lishka. 3 times a year, they would draw a portion of the shekalim from the chamber in the Beis Hamikdash where the money is kept. Beprus HaPesach, 15 days before Pesach, which is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Beprus HaTzeres, 15 days before Shavuot, which is approximately a little bit after Lag BaOmer. And Beprus HaChag, 15 days before Sukkot, which is Rosh Hashanah. So why these 3 days? Because these 3 days all apply to the laws of Ma'aseh Behema. The Mishnah therefore digresses to cite the machlokas as to the times of when Ma'aseh Behema is done. So we know the mitzvah of Ma'aseh Behema is in I think it's Parshas Bahar. I think it is Perek Zayin in Yikra. I think that's Bahar, maybe not. So we have a mitzvah to separate 1/10 of our cattle, sheep, and goats that are born into our herds and flocks each year. So the Chacham set 3 fixed times throughout the year when to separate the Ma'aseh Behema, and there's a machlokas as to when these times are. So let's go. The first opinion, from the Ma'aseh Behema. These dates mentioned above, 15 days before Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, are also the Gorin times for the Ma'aseh Behema, meaning the time when the newborn animals become aser until they are meiser. On these days, any animals born since the previous Gorin become aser and must be meiser. Therefore, Rabbi Akiva, this is according to Rabbi Akiva. The second opinion, Ben Azai says that the 3 times for Ma'aseh Behema are the estimate Tisha B'Adar, the 29th of the month of Adar, which is 15 days before Pesach, because Pesach is the 14th of Nisan, the Echav Sivan, and the first of the month of Sivan, which is 5 days before Shavuot instead of 15 days, the estimate Tisha B'Av, and the 29th day of Av, which is a month before Rabbi Akiva's date. Because Rabbi Akiva said it was 15 days before Sukkot, which is Rosh Hashanah, or Chavtes Elul. And the third opinion, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon say that the 3 times are Be'echa B'Nisan, the first of Nisan, Be'echa B'Sivan, the first of the month of Sivan, Estimation B'Elul, and on the 29th of Elul, 15 days before Sukkot, because you're not going to do this on Rosh Hashanah itself. Okay, so I just jumped the gun on that. Now, why did the Chacham say on the 29th day of Elul, which is 15 days before Sukkot? They did not say on the first of Tishrei. Simple answer. Because the first day of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah. And it's impossible to take meiser from animals on a yontif. Therefore, they pushed the date up a day to the 29th day of Elul, the day before Rosh Hashanah. Okay, Mishnah Beis, b'shalosh kupos sells shalosh sa'in. The three baskets of three saw each. Um, Torment as Salishka, they withdraw the truma of Shekalim from the lishka of the Beis Hamikdash, in which the money is kept. Remind you, they didn't have banks back then, so all the money that came in, they deposited in this chamber in the Beis Hamikdash, and that's where they kept all the money. There were no banks, and there was no Fed or any other online banking institutions back then. All the money was kept in this room, which is sort of like a vault. Um, that's where it was kept. They first filled one basket with coins, and then a second, and then a third, until they have a total of 9 saw of coins. A saw, if you remember, we spoke about this previously, is the equivalent measurement of 2.2 to 3.8 gallons, which is like 8.3 to 14.4 liters. So they needed 9 saw, which is a lot more than that. Behen Aleph Beis Gimel, and upon them were written the letters Aleph Beis and Gimel, one letter on each basket, so that the money can be spent in the order in which it was withdrawn. Rabbi Yishmael Omer Yevanis Ksi Behen Alpha Beta Gamma. Rabbi Yishmael says that they used the Greek letters of Alpha Beta Gamma, which were written on them instead. The reason why they used the Greek alphabet was was it was to fulfill the bracha to Yefes, who was the son of Noach. And what does it say? No, it was in Bereshit test comes down. It's the first I don't remember. You have to give Yefes, Yishkabal Shem. That's the one. Let God beautify Yefes, and he shall dwell in the tents of shame. So Chachamim interpreted this way, that let the Greek language, which is the most beautiful of all languages of the children of Yefes, dwell in the temple in the tent of shame. That's why they used a couple of Greek letters over here in order to be kind of that pasuk. Ein hatorim nichnas lo b'paragud chafus. The one who withdraws the truma of the shekalim may not enter the chamber where the shekalim are kept with a hemmed garment. No hems, no pockets, below the minna, below the sandal, nor with a shoe or a sandal. Below the tefillin, below the kavanah, or a tefillin, or an amulet. Basically, no way of hiding. Shema Yaniv Yamnu, the Ain Avon Halishka Ani. He might one day become poor, and people will say about him he has become poor because of the sin of stealing from the chambers. This way, he comes in with no pockets, nowhere to hide any money, and he does his job and he leaves. Oh, Shema Yashu Yamachus Yashir. Or he might someday become rich, and people will say to him, he has become rich from stealing from the chuma of the lishka. If he, kind of like what they're saying now, how deal about all the members of Congress, how they come in on a modest salary and then they leave millionaires. Like, where the money come from? Anyways, these things happened already. Had these suspicions already back 3,000 years ago. Lefi sha'alav sarach latzes yidei ha'briyus. A person must satisfy the scrutiny of people. Gederach she'tzarech latzes yidei ha'makom. In the same way that he must satisfy the scrutiny of Hashem. Shadam yishin nikiyim ni Hashem Yisrael. It says in Bamidbar, Beis, what parsha is that? Pinchas, maybe. You should be innocent in the eyes of Hashem and of Klal Yisrael. We say this every day in benching, and it's more said in Mishlei. You shall find favor and good understanding in the eyes of God and in man. These psukim teach us that even after attaining perfection before Hashem, one must still find favor in the eyes of his fellow man. Thus, therefore, the rules mentioned above were not instituted to fear that person performing the withdrawal would actually steal the money, but so people should not think that he stole. Because who's actually going to steal from the base of Mikdash? That's a very low level. But you don't want people to even think that you haven't did such a thing. Mishnah Gimel Shelbe. We only have four Mishnahs in this parak, so I'm adding in some anecdotes. Shelbe's Mishnah Gimel Shelbe's Rabban Gamliel Hayanichnas Ushkalo Ben Esposov. The members of Rabban Gamliel's household would hold back their contributions until just before the withdrawal was made, and then would enter the Delishka right where the shkalim were kept, each with his shekel between his fingers. The Zark actually, they held the other shekel between the fingers. Everyone would see that they entered the Mr. Mikdash chamber to contribute their shekel and not to steal one. The Zark and throw it onto the pile of shkalim in front of the person performing the withdrawal. The Torah miskavein the dochvo the kupa. And the person withdrawing the shkalim would then intentionally push it from the pile into the basket that he was filling. In this manner, they were able to make sure that their coins were among the ones actually used. And Hatorin Torin. The person withdrawing the portion of the shkalim does not withdraw ad shiyamal esram until he has asked the administrators of the Mr. Mikdash who are standing outside the room, should I withdraw? Should I start now? They know him, lo, Terom, show his apartment. And they respond to him, withdraw, three times. Right? Three times he asked, and each time he responded, withdraw. After receiving permission, he would begin to withdraw the shkalim. Everything was done with meticulousness and precision, and in order to make sure that nothing went wrong. Tara Mr. Dalid, Tara Mesarishona Ubechape Bekat Vlalos. After he made the first withdrawal of shkalim, he would cover the remaining coins in the chamber with leather covers. The shkalim that arrived afterward would be placed on top of the covers. The next withdrawal would then be made from those coins. Shnia Umechape Bekat Vlalos. Likewise, after he made the second withdrawal of shkalim, he would cover the remaining coins with additional leather covers, and the shkalim arriving afterwards would be placed on top of the second layer of covers. The third withdrawal would then be made from these newly arrived coins. Shlish is lo haya b'chape. After the third withdrawal of shkalim, he would not recover the remaining coins, since there was not going to be a fourth withdrawal. The reason he would cover the remaining coins after the first and second withdrawals and not simply place the new arriving shkalim in that center pile is Shema Yishkach Yisra Min Hadavar Hatarim. Yes, he might forget to put the new shkalim in a separate pile and add them instead to the old pile, and thereby withdraw shkalim the next time from the old money, which has already had funds withdrawn from it. And concluding the Mishnah, Taram es harishona l'shem Eretz Yisrael, the person who withdrew the shkalim made the first withdrawal on behalf of the Jews living in Eretz Yisrael. The shkalim had arrived at the date of the first withdrawal. Ushniel l'shem karachim, and he made the second withdrawal on behalf of the Jews living in the cities close to Eretz Yisrael, such as the cities of Ammon and Moab. Whose shkalim arrived only in time for the second withdrawal. And he made the third withdrawal on behalf of the Jews living in Bavel and on behalf of the Jews living in Madai and other distant countries whose shkalim arrived only in time for the third withdrawal. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue on Sunday, Mr. Shem, with Perek Dalet. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos. Kol Tov.